Hello everyone, my name is Prodigies and today was the first day of an 8-week long experiment I'm going to be doing using Whisper's sensitivity randomizer. Throughout this experiment I'm going to be doing 1 hour of Valorant deathmatch a day for the next 8 weeks. So what is the theory behind the sensitivity randomizer? The program was initially developed for speeding up improvement in Kovac's FPS aim trainer. The theory behind it is if your sense is always changing, you have to focus on smoothness and precision. You can't rely on just flicking and hitting your shot because you're so used to the sensitivity you're constantly playing on. There was an interesting experiment on the Kovac's FPS Aim Trainer Reddit. They took 2 groups, one with a sensitivity randomizer and one with a fake sensitivity randomizer that wasn't actually functioning. This was a week-long experiment where the players were only allowed to play Kovac's for 1 hour a day. The group with the sensitivity randomizer had a max score increase of 2.33, while the group without it had a max score increase of 1.44. I found this very interesting and figured if it can work in Kovac's, why couldn't it work in Valorant? The way I have my randomizer set up, it multiplies my sense by 0.5 anywhere up to 1.5, giving me a sensitivity variance of 22 centimeters to 66 centimeters, or 400 dpi 1.48 in-game sense, the whole way down to 0.49 in-game sense. This sense changes every 10 seconds. I downloaded Kovac's 3 months ago, roughly in September. I have 186 hours played now. Initially, I hadn't played FPS games in a year and a half, so I decided to get Kovac to try and improve at Valorant. However, I discovered Deathmatch was far better for improving aim and tactical FPS, since TAC FPS games take much less raw aim and are more about your general mechanics within that game, including movement, crosshair placement, etc. These days I just play Kovac's for fun. I enjoy trying to break my high scores and pushing my aim as hard as possible to see just how good I can get. The first month of aim training in Kovac's actually went really well. I felt like it was transferring into Valorant perfectly and that I was hitting much harder shots much more consistently. In past videos I've uploaded to this channel you can see my improvement gradually. I uploaded consistent weekly update videos throughout the first month of my aim training and you can definitely see that my aim appeared to be getting better. However, once I hit around Platinum 1, climbing from Silver 3, I noticed that Kovac's didn't appear to be transferring to in-game situations anymore. In Kovac's I would be smooth and precise, and then I would go and play Valorant and notice all these bad habits that I'd broken in Kovac's but still transferred into the game. The main thing I was expecting to come out of this experiment was better mouse control in-game. I wanted to get rid of that flick and hope playstyle that I'd developed, those bad habits that I'd been noticing in Valorant, and start to build upon the good habits that I'd developed in Kovac's and transfer them in-game to Valorant, where I feel like I have no mouse control and terrible consistency in comparison to the way I aim in Kovac's. So today was day 1 of the experiment. I've played 1 hour deathmatch with the randomizer, but I haven't played a competitive game yet. I actually found it very difficult at the start, but around 20 minutes in, I noticed my aim was actually much smoother and more precise than it would be using just a regular sensitivity with no randomizer. Another thing I didn't expect was recoil being ridiculously hard to control, because I didn't know how much I needed to pull my hand down. It was changing every 10 seconds. I feel like using the sense randomizer will actually make my recoil control much better, as instead of subconsciously knowing how far down I need to pull my hand to control my spray, I actually have to feel out the recoil and control it, since my sense is changing every 10 seconds and therefore how far down I have to pull my hand is changing every 10 seconds. Moving on from recoil control, I also used the op in a few death matches. I had to focus a lot more on smoothness and precision in comparison to my usual style of opping, where I would just quickly flick towards the target, and sometimes I'd hit the shot, but sometimes I'd whiff the shot. This led to a lot of inconsistency when opping. Some rounds I'd be insane, get 4Ks, get aces, hit every shot, and other rounds I'd whiff the easiest shot, with no idea why or how it could have happened. I have a lot of hope that the sense randomizer will lead to much more consistent op plays and far better flicks. Moreover, another really weird thing that I didn't expect to see at all was that I did far better with the Deagle and the Guardian than I normally would, just using my regular sensitivity. I think this is because I was a lot more focused on being smooth and lining up my shots, making sure I was on the head before I clicked, rather than flicking and clicking as soon as I thought I was on their head, instead of actually making sure I was. A good way to compare this would be playing 1-6 target small on Kovac's. You want to flick to the target, make sure you're on it, click, and then move on. You don't want to just randomly flick towards it, click, and hope for the best. Furthermore, I also noticed that tracking round walls was much more difficult than I expected it to be. I'll show a clip of this to show you exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, so here I am in the range. I can show you what I was talking about in that deathmatch. So, it's as I'm coming around corners, like this, so I'll crouch first. See the way I have to move my crosshair, and see the way I kept flicking into the wall, like I was coming around and doing this? It's because my brain hasn't adjusted to the sense yet, so I don't know how fast I have to be moving my mouse, obviously. So the plan with this is to have you thinking about mouse control all the time. So you're just constantly thinking about the speed you need to be moving your mouse and the smoothness your mouse needs to be going. So as you're coming around corners, you can keep your crosshair in the perfect spot consistently. So that just about wraps up this video. I'll be streaming every day showing my deathmatch games and my competitive games after. I'll also do weekly update videos, including one deathmatch and the first game right after the randomizer session. If all goes well, in 8 weeks' time, I should have far better aim than I do now. Either that or I've wasted a lot of time deathmatching with the sense randomizer. See you next week.